This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Good morning, one and all. This is a revision class of the topic environmental and nutritional pathology. So we will go according to the questions which are present in this chapter. As such, there are no major essay questions in this, but there are some important short answer questions which you need to know. So main questions in this, mainly short answer questions in this chapter are radiation injury, protein energy malnutrition, vitamin A deficiency disorders, rickets, beriberi, pellagra, scurvy, and obesity. So all these are important questions and all might come as short answer questions. As such, there is no major essay question in this chapter. Okay, we'll go according to the questions and I'll be discussing briefly regarding each question. First, coming to the radiation injury. So what is the definition is radiation is an energy in the form of electromagnetic waves or particulate matter traveling in the air. Under appropriate circumstances, all forms of radiation are harmful to the living organisms. So there are mainly two types of radiation. One is ionizing and other one is non-ionizing radiation. So then mainly what happens is that the radiation affects the loss of ability of the cells to divide. It is the main effect of the radiation on the body. It is mainly explained by two theories, that is either direct effect or indirect effect. Directly the radiation damages the DNA, that is macromolecules, or indirect effect is they either damages the environment of the macromolecules, such as when this radiation, when it interacts with the water, it produces free radicals. These free radicals, they damage the environment of the DNA or the macromolecules. Such in that way, it causes damage to the DNA and cell death. So mainly factors affecting radiation response are physical factors like character of radiation, total amount of radiation administered, and duration of exposure of the radiation, and chemical factors like molecular oxygen and halogenated pyrimideins which are produced by the radiation interactions, and some biological factors like timing of the exposure related to the cell cycle and repair of the non-lethal injury. So these are the factors which affect the radiation responses. So what are the sensitive, what is the sensitive organs, how much they are sensitive in our body are? Mainly is high sensitive, high radiosensitive organs in our body are bone marrow, gonads, GIT, thymus, lymph nodes, islands and lymphocytes. And mediumly affected or medium sensitive organs are skin, liver, lung and heart. And low sensitive organs are muscle, nerves and bones. So mainly what happens is ionizing radiation. Either it has direct effect on DNA or indirect effect. Direct effect is either it directly damages the DNA and causes cell death, or indirectly is ionization occurs which causes free radical formation with interaction with water, and indirectly it causes DNA damage. So once the DNA is damaged, it either the damaged DNA is either repaired or there is failed or aberrant repair. If the damaged DNA is repaired or reconstruction occurs, then normal cell cycle occurs. But if there is failed or aberrant repair, then this either it may cause cell death or teratogenesis or carcinogenesis. So these are the main effects of radiation. One is direct effect, one is indirect effect. So main thing is it causes DNA damage. So if the damaged DNA is repaired, then normal cell cycle occurs. If the damaged DNA is not repaired, it causes cell death. If cell death occurs also, no problem. But if cell death does not occur and there is aberrant repair, then it may cause either teratogenesis or carcinogenesis. Then coming to the protein energy malnutrition. So the main definitions in this are undernutrition. So what is undernutrition is inadequate consumption, poor absorption or excessive loss of nutrients from the body. That is undernutrition. And overnutrition is overindulgence or excessive intake of specific nutrients. Then coming to the malnutrition refers to both undernutrition and overnutrition. That is inadequate consumption or excessive loss of some nutrients or excessive intake of specific nutrients. So that is malnutrition. There is imbalance between the intake of all nutrients which are necessary to our body. So the range of pathological conditions arising from lack or invariant proportions of protein and calories, that is protein allergy malnutrition. It has mainly two types, that is marasmus and kwashiorkor. So marasmus is weight for age less than 60% of expected weight, and kwashiorkor is weight for age less than 80% plus edema. Edema is the characteristic feature of kwashiorkor. Then marasmic kwashiorkor is an entity which has weight for age less than 60% plus edema. So both marasmus and kwashiorkor features are present. So that is marasmic kwashiorkor. So main indicators of PEM are mainly stunting, wasting, and underweight. So how do we uh, do this? Is stunting is low height for age, which is seen in chronic malnutrition, prolonged food deprival, or diseases. Wasting is low weight for height. Wasting is low weight for height. It is interpreted by acute malnutrition or recent food deficit or illness. Whereas in underweight, low weight for age, which is seen in combined indicator to reflect both acute and chronic malnutrition. So these are the main indicators of PEM. Coming to the kwashiorkor, the main essential features in kwashiorkor are marked growth retardation is seen and psychomotor changes, wasting of muscles, and dependent pitting type of edema is seen in the body. General appearance is fatty sugar baby appearance is seen in the fatty sugar baby appearance is seen, and skin changes are mainly hyperpigmentation, desquamation, and dyspigmentation is seen. Flaky pain, dermatosis in confluent areas, enamel spots or individual spots on the body are seen, and typically involves buttocks, perineum, and upper thighs. And mucous membrane lesions are mainly smooth tongue, chiliosis, angular stomatitis, herpes simplex stomatitis, edema is seen, muscle wasting, mainly weak, hypotonic, and unable to stand or walk. Hair changes like hypopigmented hair, sparseness, or alopecia is seen, change in the texture, easy pluckability or flaxen of hairs. Flaxen is seen, and mental changes like lethargy, apathic, and poor appetite like difficulty to feed is seen. GIT manifestations like diarrhea, infections or parasitic infections, mucosal atrophy, enteropathy, liver enlargement or fatty liver is seen. Mineral and vitamin deficiency and superadded infections like tuberculosis, bronchopneumonia, measles are present. Coming to the marasmus, main difference between kwashiorkor and marasmus is there is no edema and marked gross wasting of the muscles is seen in marasmus. So skin and bones are gross wasting of the skin and bones are seen. Emaciation, that is loss of buccal pad of fat like monkey faces, loose skin of buttocks hanging down, known as baggy pants appearance is seen. Marked stunting and no edema is seen in marasmus. And some non-essential features like mineral and vitamin deficiencies are present. Indolent ulcers and sores are seen, and GI symptoms are like babies are always hungry and liver is shrunk, and psychomotor changes like they are always irritable. But there is no edema, marked emaciation, gross wasting of the muscles are seen. So that is marasmus. Coming to the vitamins, so main vitamins, that the vitamins in the body, they are broadly classified into fat soluble vitamins and water soluble vitamins. Fat soluble are vitamin A, D, E, and K, and water soluble vitamins are B and C. Coming to vitamin A consists of retinol, which is a preformed vitamin, retinal, retinoic acid, and beta carotene, which is a provitamin, and some of the beta carotene is converted into retinol in the intestinal mucosa. So what are the functions of vitamin A? So the vitamin A is useful for normal vision in the dim light and maintaining the integrity and normal functioning of glandular and epithelial tissues, which lines the intestinal, respiratory, and urinary tracts as well as skin and eyes, and it supports the skeletal growth. Retinol and retinoic acid, they mainly function as steroid hormones. They regulate the protein synthesis and thus they are involved in cell growth and differentiation, and they are useful for synthesis of certain glycoproteins and essential for the maintenance of proper immune system on the body. And carotenoids, they function as antioxidants and they reduce the risk of cancers and protect against some epithelial cancers. So what are the sources of vitamin A? Are mainly animal foods like liver, eggs, butter, cheese, milk, fish, and meat. And fish liver oil, which is the richest source of retinol, and vegetables like spinach and amaranth, and yellow fruits and vegetables like papaya, mango, and pumpkins, and fortified foods like fortified with vitamin A, such as vanaspati, margarine, and milk. So storage, where this vitamin is stored in the body is mainly liver has the enormous capacity for storing vitamin A in the form of retinol palmitate. Under normal conditions, a well-fed person has sufficient vitamin A reserves to meet his needs for 6 to 9 months. Free retinol is highly active but toxic, so it is transported in the bloodstream by combining with retinol binding protein. This retinol binding protein is produced from the liver. It binds with the free retinol and is transported in the blood, as it is highly toxic. But in severe protein deficiency, decreased production of retinol binding protein prevents mobilization of liver retinol reserves. So that's in turn it causes vitamin deficiencies. So what are the manifestations of this deficiency? Are mainly divided into ocular manifestations and extraocular manifestations. Extraocular are follicular hyperkeratosis, anorexia, and growth retardation, whereas ocular are night blindness, conjunctival xerosis, bitoid spots, corneal xerosis, and keratomalacia. So coming to night blindness, lack of vitamin A first causes night blindness, and it is the inability to see in dim light. It occurs due to impairment in dark adaptation, and the condition may get worse if vitamin A is not taken, especially if they suffer from diarrhea and other infections. Coming to conjunctival xerosis, it is the first sign of vitamin A deficiency, and the conjunctiva becomes dry and non-wettable and appears muddy and wrinkled instead of smooth and shiny. Bitoid spots, these are triangular, pearly white and or yellowish, foamy spots on the bulbar conjunctiva on either side of cornea, and usually bilateral. And in young children it indicates vitamin deficiency, and whereas in older children it is often an inactive sequel of earlier diseases. Then coming to corneal xerosis, it is the cornea appears dull, dry, non-wettable and eventually opaque. And in more severe deficiency, there may be corneal ulceration, and the ulcer may heal, leaving a corneal scar, which may affect the vision. So these are the pictures showing corneal xerosis with corneal ulcers, and this is the corneal scar. Then coming to keratomalacia, it is a keratomalacia is mainly defined as the liquefaction of cornea, and the cornea, which is as a part or a whole of the cornea, may become soft and may burst open sometimes. And this process is rapid, and if the eye collapses, vision is lost. Xerophthalmia or dry eye, it refers to all the ocular manifestations of vitamin A deficiency, and it is a serious nutritional disorder leading to blindness, particularly in Southeast Asian countries, and it is most common in children aged 1 to 3 years and is often related to weaning, and it is associated mainly with protein energy malnutrition. Coming to extraocular manifestations, they consist of follicular hyperkeratosis, anorexia, and growth retardation. Even a mild vitamin deficiency causes an increase in morbidity and mortality due to respiratory and intestinal infections. Thorny skin are seen, cone-shaped elevated papules due to thickening of stratum corneum is seen in extraocular manifestations. Coming to the treatment of vitamin A, deficiency should be treated urgently, and nearly all stages of xerophthalmia can be reversed by administration of massive doses of 2 lakh international units of retinal palmitate orally on 2 successive days. All children with corneal ulcer are given vitamin A whether or not a deficiency is suspected. So timing or vitamin dosage, if we see less than 6 months of age, we give 50,000 international units, and 6 to 12 months of age, 1 lakh international units, and greater than 12 months of age, 2 lakh international units. So this is the dosage according to the ages, and next day same age specific dose, and at least after 2 weeks later same age specific dose is given. Then coming to the rickets, it mainly occurs due to lack of vitamin D, calcium or phosphate, which mainly leads to softening and weakening of bones and defective mineralization of bone matrix, which causes excessive unmineralized osteoid. So deficiency of vitamin D mainly causes rickets in children, osteomalacia in adults, and hypocalcemic tetany due to neuromuscular dysfunction. So rickets and osteomalacia, these two are the main short answer questions in your topic. So what are the symptoms we see in rickets are mainly bone pain or tenderness like skeletal deformities, bow legs, pigeon chest, ricketic rosary, frontal bossing, spine deformities, spine curves abnormally including scoliosis or kyphosis, and pelvic deformities are seen, and increased tendency towards bone fractures, dental deformities are seen, and delayed formation of teeth, defects in the structure of teeth, holes in the enamel, increased incidence of cavities in the teeth, or decreased muscle tone like loss of muscle strength, muscle cramps, impaired growth, or short stature is seen. So these are valgus deformities or knock knees. This is the varus deformities or also known as bow legs. And this is the bowing of tibia. And this is a frontal bossing or square type head is seen. And this is the ricketic rosary or beading of the ribs are seen. And this is the kyphoscoliosis, as bending of the spine to one side. This is kyphoscoliosis. Okay. Then comes to beriberi. Beriberi is mainly caused due to thiamine deficiency, which is a medical condition of low levels of thiamine or vitamin B1. A severe or chronic form is known as beriberi. Chronic form of deficiency is known as beriberi, and it is mainly of two types in adults. One is wet beriberi and one is dry beriberi. So main symptoms which you see in this are weight loss, emotional disturbances, impaired sensory perception, weakness and pain in the limb, periods of irregular heart rate, edema is common, and it may increase the amount of lactic acid and pyruvic acid within the blood. And in advanced cases, the disease may cause high cardiac output, cardiac failure, and finally death. So dry beriberi especially affects the peripheral nervous system. Wet beriberi affects mainly the cardiovascular system and other bodily systems. And infantile beriberi affects the babies of malnourished mothers. And gastrointestinal beriberi, which affects the digestive system and other bodily systems. Infantile beriberi, it occurs in infants usually about at the age of 3 to 4 weeks who are breastfed by thiamine deficient mothers, mainly present with heart failure which may occur suddenly. Aphonia and absent deep tendon reflexes are the characteristic features. Then comes to pellagra. Pellagra is a disease caused by lack of vitamin niacin or vitamin B3. There are two main types of pellagra. One is primary and secondary. Thus, primary pellagra is due to a diet that does not contain enough niacin and tryptophan, and secondary pellagra is due to poor ability to use the niacin within the diet. Main symptoms of pellagra are inflamed skin, diarrhea, dementia, sores in the mouth. Areas of the skin exposed to either sunlight or friction are typically affected first, and over time, affected skin may become darker, stiffen, peel, or bleed. So mainly glove and stocking appearance are seen, glove and stocking lesions are seen, and the Cazel's necklace type of lesions are seen, and dementia are seen. Then coming to scurvy, scurvy is mainly caused by vitamin C deficiency, and vitamin C also known as ascorbic acid, which is a water soluble vitamin. Unlike other mammals, humans do not have the ability to make their own vitamin C. Therefore, we must obtain through our diet only. What is the functions of vitamin C? Mainly are synthesis of collagen and synthesis of neurotransmitters like norepinephrine, and it is highly effective antioxidant and protect proteins, lipids, fats, carbohydrates, and nucleic acid like DNA and RNA, and they prevent their damage by free radicals, and they regenerate other antioxidants such as vitamin E. And vitamin C is required for the synthesis of carnitine, a small molecule that is essential for the transport of fat to mitochondria for conversion to the energy. So these are the main functions of the vitamin C. So deficiency of this vitamin C mainly causes diseases like scurvy, cardiovascular diseases, stroke, cataracts, and lead toxicity. People who are mainly at the risk of scurvy, they are mainly people with chronic malnutrition, alcoholics, elderly, children, people on peculiar diets or food pads, and people with other medical conditions that may prevent the intake or absorption of vitamin C, and dialysis patients, malabsorption disorders, and severe dyspepsia patients. And these people are mainly at the risk of developing scurvy. What are the main signs and symptoms are that usually symptoms develop at least 3 months of severe or total vitamin C deficiency, and they mainly include weakness and fatigue, bruising easily and bleeding from weakening blood vessel and connective tissues and bones due to collagen loss, hair, teeth loss, and gingivitis are seen. And infants may be irritable, they have pain when they move and lose their appetite. Infants do not gain weight as they normally do, and in infants and children, bone growth is impaired and bleeding and anemia may also occur. So main symptoms are lethargy and fatigue, bleeding gums, anemia, and high fever may be present sometimes. Then the clinical features mainly depends upon the severity and duration, nutritional deprivation, the age, presence or absence of the associated infections. So depending upon these, the clinical features vary. Then coming to the last topic, that is obesity. Obesity is a disorder of energy regulation, and definition of obesity is mainly accumulation of adipose tissue that is of sufficient magnitude to impair the health, which is assessed mainly by body weight, BMI, waist to hip ratio, skin fold measurements, and body circumferences. According to WHO classes, the range cutoff for obesity is 30, which is, and morbid obesity, which is divided into 1, 2, 3, and class 1 is 30 to 34, 2 is 35 to 39, and 3 are morbid obesity greater than 40, super obesity greater than 50, and super obesity greater than 60. Main medical complications associated with obesity are gastrointestinal complications like gallstones, pancreatitis, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and possibly GERD. Endocrine or metabolic disorders like metabolic syndromes, insulin resistance, impaired glucose tolerance, type 2 diabetes, polycystic ovary syndrome, and cardiovascular diseases like hypertension, coronary artery disease, congestive heart failure, pulmonary hypertension and ischemic stroke, thrombosis and pulmonary embolus, respiratory disorders like abnormal pulmonary function and obstructive sleep apnea, obesity, hyperventilation syndromes, musculoskeletal disorders like osteoarthritis, gout, low back pain, gynecological disorders like abnormal menses and infertility, and urinary stress incontinence and cataracts are also seen, and neurological complications like pseudotumor cerebri are seen, and cancers like many cancers are associated with obesity like esophagus, colon, gallbladder, prostate, breast and cervix, kidney, uterus, and post-operative events like atelectasis, pneumonia, deep vein thrombosis, and pulmonary embolus as well. So that is obesity, and these are the major short answer questions which is present in this chapter, which you need to know. Main important are vitamin C and vitamin deficiencies and radiation injuries and obesity, and these are repeatedly asked questions. Thank you.